with us,
Azar.
Thank you. Just on the management of the rand, this has been debated, but haven't we previously committed to a free-floating, non-managed currency to protect us from shocks, as the ANC often says?
Very much so. What one isn't quite certain of is what they're trying to do with the rand. Are they trying to weaken it? Are they trying to strengthen it? They're suggesting that they're trying to stabilize it. Well, the best way to stabilize the rand is to export more, not to be so dependent upon relying on foreign capital inflows or outflows to stabilize the currency, and that implies really being more productive to manufacture or to produce the goods here for export, and to be less reliant on having to import foreign exchange.
Well, the whole thrust, to me, to sum up the economic document, is about the reindustrialization of South Africa, which is exactly what you're talking about, manufacturing. We need to export more, make more. But we've been talking about this for a long time. As you said, why is it not happening? Why does the manufacturing sector continue to decline?
And this is my one criticism of the piece that I read of that document. The analysis of the fact that we are not exporting enough and we are far too dependent on imports, and the desire to increase our exports, especially to the rest of Africa, is all very valid. What is missing, however, is the wherewithal to actually start improving exports. Issues such as education, skills development, improving the industrial relations environment, and the promotion of small and medium-sized enterprises. There is nothing around that.
So you think a lot of important things have been left out of this?
A lot of important things have been left out. We have had an industrial policy for the last 7 years, and yet it has failed to create any positive job creation on a net basis in the private sector. Most of the employment that we have seen being created in the country has been through public sector, and now we're running into difficulty because the ratings agencies threaten to downgrade us if we carry on spending more and more on the public sector.
Doesn't the NDP look at this malaise and recognize that we're somewhere in limbo, because we're not at the top innovative manufacturing, we're not designing Apple phones, for example. We're not at the bottom where you just have laborers, unskilled, working day and night, and we're somewhere in the middle. We're not down there because our salaries are too high.
Well, that is where the whole labour market issue comes into play. Yes, relative to executive remuneration, workers' pay is very low, but relative to the amount that is being produced by the workers, it is quite high, especially in relation to comparison with other similar kind of countries. And that is the biggest problem. We have to address the labour market environment, either through increasing productivity or through some kind of compact between employers, government and labour, to try and get a better correlation between productivity and output.
For a while, the ANC has been talking about the developmental state, so moving to a stronger state rather than a state that holds up its hands and says business must deal with everything. From what you saw, is this more of the same, or is there anything new here?
Unfortunately, it is more of the same. The analysis is very good. The recommendations, however, are very interventionist, and I'm afraid to say we have been trying intervention now for the last 7 years, and it has not produced results. So we need something completely new.
And more intervention in terms of the state mining company. The document, like you say, I think it was extremely frank and such a good assessment of where South Africa is right now. It does say that the state can only do so much. It needs the private sector to step in, and it mentions this investment strike. What needs to be done to address that?
There are many aspects. Firstly, industrial relations. I have to come back to that. It's very adversarial at the moment, partly because the private sector is seen as the enemy by the workforce. Secondly, we need less regulation in many spheres of government. Thirdly, we need less corruption as well. And that's a tricky issue. The whole aspect of, transformation through black economic empowerment has had unintended consequences. It has been conducive towards unsavory methods of actually doing business, which is not conducive to more investment.
I think the document even looks at that. There's a move now from saying, let's look at BEE, triple BEE in general, to focusing on black industrialists. Do you think that's positive?
That is positive, but I think you need to focus on specific areas and specific people. The other aspect that is depressing investment by the private sector is policy uncertainty. The government has been doing dilly-dallying in many areas of policy, and in other spheres it's actually made new policies and then backtracked on them. And we keep seeing this, and it's created a lot of uncertainty.
All right, thank you for your analysis. Dr. Azar Jammine from Econometrics. And that's a discussion document, only a discussion document at this stage. It could feed into policy later, but that's ahead of the National General Council of the ANC that kicks off tomorrow.